And Secretary Rodney Slater, a former U.S. Secretary of Transportation under President Bill Clinton, participating with the Clinton Global Initiative for Climate Week in New York. ClintonFoundation.org/Clinton-Global-Initiative is the website. Secretary Slater, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Tom. Good to be on the program.
Thank you for joining us. Tell me what's got you really excited about what's going on in New York right now and what the Clinton Global Initiative is up to.
Well, New York is always an exciting city. And this week, not only do you have the UN meeting and the Clinton Global Initiative meeting occurring at the same time, which is, always the case, but you did have quite a rally. I mean, more than 400,000 people coming together to promote climate change and the need to really start to address that issue. But I'm just excited about the 10-year anniversary of the Clinton Global Initiative. It really affords us an opportunity to look back on the commitments that have been made, where we stand with those commitments, and to look forward with a renewed commitment to build from strength to strength. So I'm very, very excited about what's going on.
What are the issues that are in the front of your mind right now?
Well, transportation is always an issue for me, just because it gives us access to opportunity. And the Clinton Global Initiative is approaching that in a very creative way. We're looking at it as it relates to, how you improve access in and across communities, how you improve access to opportunity, to education, healthcare, those kinds of things. But beyond that, I'm very excited about the focus on women and girls. That's been a really big initiative since Secretary Clinton got involved, and also a big issue for Chelsea as well. So the two of them have clearly made their presence known, and you can see these issues really running throughout the length and breadth of the meeting.
How do we remove carbon from our transportation systems?
Well, much more fuel-efficient vehicles. I was just reading an article the other day about how California is really continuing to move ahead with electric vehicles. But we've actually seen a significant improvement in transportation's footprint on the environment in the last few years. A lot of that effort actually began in our administration with the focus on the new generation vehicle. And what that was designed to do was to really jumpstart U.S. competitiveness as it relates to design and fuel efficiency, those sorts of things. And now we see many of those vehicles coming to market. I think in the future we're going to see alternative fuels of all sorts. We're also going to see a lot more hybrid vehicles. And a lot more people are going to move from dependence on the automobile to a greater emphasis on transit. So those are the ways that you do it. And a number of companies are really quite visionary in this regard, and we applaud those efforts. So as we get these autonomous vehicles in the future, many of those vehicles will be a lot more fuel efficient.
We're not only subsidizing the fossil fuel industry with direct subsidies to the tune of billions of dollars a year, but by allowing them to externalize their costs and having us pick those up, the cost of asthma, the cost of cancers, the cost of the protection, the Fifth Fleet protecting our shipping lanes to bring oil into the United States. All of these costs are costs that arguably the fossil fuel industry should bear, but they don't. Instead, you and I bear them. The entire nation does. Isn't it appropriate? It's been well over a decade. I did this show for a couple of weeks from Denmark, I think 5-6 years ago, and they were a decade into a carbon tax in Denmark, and they earmarked it entirely for their healthcare system because they said they were just capturing the cost of the cancers and asthma from people driving cars. Isn't it time for us to talk seriously about recovering some of these externalities, these costs, by putting a price on carbon?
Well, these matters are actually being debated. It's just that, frankly, this is a very strong industry, but with the kinds of rallies that we saw this week dealing with climate change, I think the debate is turning. And I think it was very interesting that you had so many, you had a number of families to step forward, families that may have made their fortune in years past on these sort of fossil fuels, but stepping forward and saying that those families will no longer invest in those types of industries. I think that those kinds of things will have an impact, but I also think that there are a lot of people who are in the industries themselves who are working very, very hard to make them cleaner. So it's sort of an all-hands approach that the administration talks about that will get us to the kind of energy independence that we want to enjoy, but also get us to a more effective use of fueling our transportation system. And again, transportation is a public good, so I do think that it's appropriate for the public to be in the business of supporting the industry, but clearly we have to have the industry working with the public to find new ways to do the things that we have to do to keep America moving.
We have a little less than a minute, sir. We're talking with Secretary Rodney Slater, former U.S. Secretary of Transportation during the Clinton administration. What would you say to those people, the libertarians, the Koch brothers, et cetera, the billionaires, who say that we should privatize our public highway systems and our roads, make every road a toll road, let the billionaires own them, they'll do a better job running them?
Well, let me just say that I do think that there is a place for the private sector in this space. And a lot of our infrastructure is actually owned by the private sector, but there's also a very, very important role for the public sector to play. And when you think about how essential transportation is for our everyday functioning as a society and as individuals, you can see why the public should definitely be involved and why it's viewed as a public good. But going forward, I think we're going to see a lot more public-private partnerships, as we say, and I think there are ways to do that.
Secretary Slater, we're out of time, but hang on just a second.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 866-987-THOM.
Secretary Rodney Slater, he's with the ClintonFoundation.org, Clinton Global Initiative, former U.S. Secretary of Transportation. Sir, thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Thank you.